In the previous session, we discussed scoreboard. Towards the end of that video, we discussed like we were sending only 2 transactions, and then like one to address 7 and 12, and then that was user. So like the question is, do you want to do it manually for every read and write transactions, or can we control in some manner from like a user can give, okay, user wants to run 30 transaction or 30 or like 100 or thousands of reads and write, and we scale our test bench appropriately, correct? So this session is exactly that. So we are trying to specify a user control, how user can specify what is the total number of transactions it was to exercise for this particular test case. So how we do that is like we will be utilizing plus arg. Plus arg is a like Verilog feature which is present. So in this case, like our plus arg is named num_rw, and then we are trying to see if the user has passed this plus arg. If the user has passed this plus arg, we will take that value. If not, we will assign this value to 20. So that is like if user doesn't specify a this plus arg, then our default number of transactions which will be sent out to the memory will be 20. Now where do we specify this? Now simulator works like we have compile stage and run stage. So this plus args are usually passed in the run stage. So if you see it there, like for this simulator, there's a compile options and then run options. This plus arg, we are trying to pass it to the run options. Let's go to the example directly. So this is the example what like the part of the code what we discussed. So in this case, the default value of num read write is 20, and then what we are trying to do here is like based on this value, we are creating a loop here. Instead of manually performing a read and write to an explicit address, what we have done here is we are writing and reading from that based on that loop, and for each at each location we are trying to read and write based on so at the first iteration mem write I and data I, so it will write to address 0 with data like 0, address 1 with data 1 similarly, correct? And based on this number of read write. So let's run this and just have a quick glance on the report. So if you see, that is exactly what we discussed, correct? It will send like now by default it is 20, so this loop will go from 0 to less than number of read write, means 0 to 19. So you will see that we indeed have sent transactions from 0 to 19, and then data was checked appropriately for that, correct? So this is the total number 20 transactions. Now we say that how do we control this, correct? Now these are the compile options and these are the run options. What we can do is we can do like something like this, plus num read write, and then we can give a value of 1. Just let's try this. So if you see, in this case we are like just doing a 1, correct? So we performed only 1 transaction, and I can even give this as thousands. So and then it passed, correct? So this is the way it works, but again like this has like various limitations what we have, because again we are only writing a fixed data at a fixed address, correct? Like at address 1 we are writing 1, and then like similarly on like so on, correct? So this can be optimized, like we could pass a random data and random address here based on this loop, and we can optimize in like similar like manner, correct? So you are free to work like optimize this appropriately. Now if you see this, now I can make it like this, and then let us run. Now you can see this, like result reached the maximum limit of 5009, killing progress. So we are like this is not the case when you are using a commercial simulator, but we are using a educational version of it, correct? So educational version will have some limits and restriction on the number of lines what you print in the log file or something like that, correct? So in that case we might have to be like, suppose how do you validate, like how do you filter out, like suppose I want to run 1,000,000 transactions with this, correct? The only way is to control the logging mechanism what we are printing to this, correct? So what we have done here is we have only controlled what is the number of transactions to run, correct? But do you think that do we always need the pass messages or the memory read and write? So if you're debugging a failure, then it might be helpful to have these messages, correct? Like what on what address, what was the write happening, and what was the read happening, and whether it passed or failed. But in most cases, like we want to run the test case like all through the test case and only flag errors, correct? That we are going to optimize this test bench for in the next session, in which we will have some kind of logging control. How do we control the logging messages what we print into the log messages? Thank you.